All right. Well, cool. Thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely.
It's kind of fun.
It is very fun.
Well, cool. We are recording this in the BOA podcasting room, trying a couple things technologically, but also hopefully creating something that we can use.
Yeah.
Both for you and for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that'll be fun. People who know what our channel is probably know who we are, but who are you? What do you do?
Well, I'm Luke's wife, right?
Okay.
Very happy to be Luke's wife. And I was born and raised in Florida. I'm Rebecca Dornbush, Luke's wife. Florida native, and I am a dyslexia specialist. We are parents to 2 teenage girls, which is really challenging. Yes.
Functionally teenage girls.
Yeah. They keep us on our knees and keep us praying, but they're really, really great kids, overall. And yeah, I mean, that's what I do. I'm a dyslexia specialist, and I've been doing that. Really, I've been doing it since 2016, but full time since 2022. And it's kind of crazy. Right. I love my job. It's so much fun.
Where are your children right now?
Oh, they're on vacation.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Yeah. Well, great. So as we've talked a little bit about what you do, and you're so excited about specializing in this area, I'm kind of curious what brought you to it. So what was the overall path? Kind of what did you study? And then how did you identify this as something you're really passionate about?
Well, as so many of these kind of stories go, it's just all been Jesus, like through everything. So I attended a Christian college in Florida, and I majored in secondary English education because I wanted to be an English teacher, because when I was in the 6th grade, I watched Dead Poets Society. And I watched that, and it changed my life. And I just sat on the floor and wept and decided that I wanted to be an English teacher. And even though I'm not doing that per se anymore, I feel like some of the general kind of themes from the story of that movie still kind of ring true in what I do. How, Professor Keating tried to impress upon these students the power of words and how they had the ability to change your life. And even though I'm not teaching English and grammar and literature in the classroom, it's still kind of what I'm doing, is teaching kids the power of words and how it can change their life. So I went to school to be an high school English teacher, and my first teaching job was teaching 4th grade. And that's just kind of how it goes. Sometimes you just do what you can. And the Lord just kind of knew what he was doing in all of it. And so I started teaching 4th grade, and I had a student I knew from the very beginning who was dyslexic. And his mom was telling me that she was doing a program with him at home, and, it was helping him a lot. And through different circumstances, I had to stop teaching midway through the school year. But I was still able to work with this one particular student. His mom was saying how the two of them weren't kind of jiving super well at home doing this program. And so I started coming to school, and I would work with him. And we just did that. And that's kind of how I what is dyslexia, and how do we, Orton-Gillingham and the syllable types and all of this stuff. I started just kind of taking a full nosedive into this whole world. And I got certified in the Barton reading system. And then I started working with another student. So my second student was probably still to this day, I think, the most severe kid that I've ever worked with. And we did the Barton program for 3 or 4 years, and he just was not really making much progress. And at that time, I had different students that I was working with, and I was still kind of learning and growing and stuff like that. And but this one student, he just was not progressing. And his mom was just so discouraged. It had been such a heavy thing on their whole family that he just couldn't read. And it affected his life in ways that I didn't even realize, just like the panic that she felt, realizing that he was going to a restaurant with a bunch of his friends and he wouldn't be able to read the menu.
Yeah.
And having to plan for stuff like that. And she's just like, well, maybe his sister can go with him and he can just read, or they would go over menus ahead of time if they knew where they were going. So she could just tell him, he could just say what he wanted. Just stuff like that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not something that I ever would have really thought about, but it's such a reality for parents who have kids who struggle with reading, like to the severity that he did. And so then I started digging more, and the more and more research that I did, the Wilson reading system really stuck out to me. And that is one of the programs that holds a lot of clout in the dyslexia realm. So being certified in Barton doesn't hold as much clout professionally as being certified in Wilson or kind of something similar, because Wilson is backed by the International Dyslexia Association, and Barton is not. And so I decided, I'm like, let me just try this. And so I went through a 3-day training. I was one of the first people who did a virtual training because of COVID. So I did it in October of 2020. And I did that, and I immediately just kind of went right into the certification process with this same student who I started working with him when he was 5. And gosh, I think at this point he was 10 or something like that. And so I applied for the certification program, and then he had to go through a lot of testing just to see where his baseline was. And my trainer told me, she's like, he's really severe, and I really don't think that you should use this kid. You need to find a different kid. And I was like, no, you're going to watch and see what God is going to do. She told me that I need to use someone else. And I'm like, no, like I've been through too much with this kid already. And we did it. And we still, I passed every single evaluation with a perfect score. He did amazing. And we finished. And then he finished he kind of graduated out of the program last year. And it was like the happiest, saddest moment of my life to not be working. So we worked together for 10 years. And typically it does not take that long for a student to finish a program. But he and we started with one, right? And it just wasn't working. And then we did this whole process with my practicum. So he was my practicum student. That's the name of it, and everything. And then we finished. And sometimes, we have Christmas break and summer break and stuff like that. So it did take us a little bit longer. But I mean, it was he and I just kind of felt like he and I against the world for a lot of it. And he is truly the student I want this for all of my students, but I really did not want to give up. And I kept pushing myself to learn more about dyslexia because of him, because I wanted to be a better teacher for him, because I just believed that he could be a good reader. I knew that he could. And it's not just because he has potential, and it's not just because he's smart, but I just know that God makes a way. He can connect the neurons in our brains because he is the creator of all of us, right? He is the one, he is the word. He spoke our universe into existence. So I know that he can help all of these students read. It's just someone who won't, you just need to have a teacher or someone alongside who won't give up and who keeps praying over these kids and who keeps just working at it, just day in and day out. And I mean, that's what happened with him. And at the very end, I gave him a Bible with his name engraved on it. I don't do that for every single one of my students, but I did it with him because he is just he was just so near and dear to my heart. And I said, this is why we do this. This is why you've worked so hard for 10 years, is so that you can read your Bible with confidence. And that to me is the most important thing. And that's why I think reading is just the most important thing that you could ever, it's the most important skill.
That is amazing. You threw a lot at me there.
Yeah, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That's wonderful. So you had this student that you were working with for 3 years that just, you felt like you were stuck. Yeah. And you stayed with it. Yeah. That in itself is amazing, right? And then identifying too, hey, this is not working. What can work? That's really cool too. So now you were just working with one person for a little while, and then you added him in. What did that look like? How'd you find, the first customer, second customer often is really difficult, and then things get easier after that. Yeah. What did that look like?
Well, I guess I didn't even think about that up to this point. So my business will be 10 years old in January of next year. So in January 2026, it'll be 10 years old. And at this point, I have not advertised once for anything for any of my students. And I just fully believe it's all been Jesus. But the blessing that it's been is that a lot of the students that I started out with were students who were in the school where I was and where our girls attend. So that was a blessing. So when these parents kind of saw, hey, she can do this, she can help, they were like, well, ask Rebecca, and she can help. Hey, Rebecca, let me ask your advice about this. And now it's blossomed to where I don't work for the school anymore. I work for myself, and I have a dyslexia group in the school where I pull kids out and I work with them and we go through the Wilson program and they're, learning to read at a pace that works for them. And then I'm also able to communicate with the parents and with the teachers about, okay, well, this kind of spelling word won't work for her because of this. These are the spelling words that I think that you need to use in the classroom. These are the more realistic expectations to kind of like work with the school to help them learn best. And yeah, I mean, it was really just the fact that the two mothers of those first two students, they were friends. Mm-hmm. And so they just like, hey, she's helping my son, ask her to help your son. And that's just kind of how it started. And it's just been mom after mom saying, hey, you need to call Rebecca, or hey, just check her out, or, whatever. It's been really cool.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So from a methodology perspective, you throw out these names of these different experts and these different processes and methods that you use. But if you're going to put some of those in layman's terms for somebody who hasn't studied the space, you talk about coding words and understanding the sounds that different words make. And was that part of your English education, or is that part of the system, or is it some mixture?
Probably more it's more of something that kind of comes from this whole realm of the science of reading and stuff like that. I was very discouraged to realize, like, after I graduated college, now I didn't major in reading or anything like that, but there was really very little information in my college classes about dyslexia. So everything that I've learned about it since then has come through testing, through going through courses and practicum and graduate level training, and me just reading and just like absorbing as much as I can, like watching podcast after podcast and reading these college textbooks that have these things in it all after the fact. So it's not, and maybe it's different now because I graduated college, a while ago, So maybe it's a little bit different now because dyslexia is a lot more just widely recognized now than even when it was a few years ago or many years ago when I was in school. But yeah, no, most of it is just some of these really complicated terms that I don't realize they're so complicated. It's more just all kind of in this specialty realm. So like a more generalized teacher may not even be super, super familiar with a lot of it.
Yeah.
And they may not need to be, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good. So one of the reasons that we have been aiming classical for our kids is because of the phonics, because of the way that they teach reading and the way they teach math. But, that's another conversation. The way that they teach reading, the way that they teach writing, they really focus on understanding grammar structures. They really focus on phonics and sounds and all of that. And that seems to be a tried and true method that also is used heavily in dyslexia teaching. Is that correct? Is that a tool set that gets utilized more heavily, or is that a perception I have?
No, I think it is, but no one really talks about it that way because I feel like knowing classical education, I feel like that whole world is a little bit small and a little bit niche in and of itself. Mm-hmm. But the way structured phonics works is so similar to the Trivium that is just the basis of classical education. So the grammar stage is like just kind of doing a lot of rote memorization. We're not kind of pulling things apart too much just yet. We're just saying like we're just knowing what we know, right? And we're chanting, we're singing, we're memorizing, we're doing all of these things to give them this strong foundation. And a structured dyslexia program does the exact same thing. I have songs that I do with my kids. Now that's a Miss Rebecca thing, right? So I tell my kids, that's a Miss Rebecca exclusive, guys. And they're just, okay. But that's what I tell them, like, this is a Miss Rebecca exclusive. And I tell them like these little jingles or songs or things to kind of help them remember. And then as we keep moving forward, they can see like, oh, and so then we're moving into the rhetoric stage and stuff like that. So they can kind of understand the deeper meaning. And we do cover Latin bases and Greek combining forms and a good dyslexia program will do that. So you're learning about the meanings of like form and rupt and all of these different things. So then when you're kind of going, oh, I can see why interrupt means this or disrupt means that because I know the meaning of that Latin base. And it's all, for the most part, most of those Latin bases are pretty decodable too. So it's great for the kids.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah.
And this goes into what we were joking about earlier, right? English is not a language. It's 12 languages smashed together.
Yeah.
There's so much German and French and Latin. And we have roots in all of these other languages that we've incorporated and just smash them together.
Yep.
And so I can understand why it's really difficult to learn as a primary language or a secondary language.
Yeah.
Just kind of in general.
It is, but there are rules that govern our language when it comes to reading and spelling. And when you know those specifically, then it really unlocks so much language and so much understanding. But these rules and these approaches are not really taught in the general classroom. And I really think that they should be. People don't teach kids the 6 syllable types or a lot of these general spelling rules. Most spelling curriculum are just like a mishmash of words just all together. And then when you go to the next grade, it's just a little bit harder and they're just a little bit longer, but you're not teaching them, well, when do you use CK, right? Or when do we use TCH? It's only after a short vowel. That's it. Like that's the only time you use it is after a short vowel. And if it's not after a short vowel, then you use regular CH. Is that in every single word? No, it's not. Like the word which, like which one do I want? However, those rules are going to work about 98% of the time. So when you know most of those, then you can just remember, okay, well, TCH is right after a short vowel, but which is a little bit different, right? Or sandwich, right? There's a few that's a little bit different, but most of the time those rules work. So that's what they need. I think that we need to be teaching kids a little bit more, is like once you know that code and once you know those rules, it makes things so much simpler. And that's what dyslexic students need. They need simplicity and they need that structure. They need to know this is the only time I use CK, also right after a short vowel. That's it, right? And when you put a C with an E, I, or Y after it, it's going to say S. Right. And just know that. So if you see that E, I, or Y, then you need to use a K if you want it to say K, like in kid. Right. Just those kind of things. They need that kind of just what's the word I'm looking for? I guess clarity or like something that's super, super definitive. It's going to it helps them so much.
Yeah. The structure that lets them be right almost all the time.
Yes.
Right. And then that builds their confidence. That builds their ability to engage with reading and engage with the overall world in a better way.
Absolutely. Because the goal is for them to be able to read fluently enough so they can lift meaning off of the page. That's really it. That's the goal. So they can understand what this mortgage application is asking of you, what this job application is asking of you. Or do you really agree with what your pastor is saying in church? Or do you think that maybe his doctrine is just a smidge off because you have read your Bible and you have read commentaries and done your own research so that you can understand it? And that for me is just the heart behind why I do what I do, because I want to train like that one student who I have, like, he's turning 15 this year. And at some point he is going to be a dad. And I want him to be able to open his Bible and lead his wife and lead his sons and his daughters in devotions and to read scripture over them with confidence, and to really feel the work of the Holy Spirit in his life and to see it in the life of his family. That's why I do what I do, because his life has changed, but so then he can therefore be a leader in his own family and change the lives of his kids one day. And that's why, I don't think anything else is more important. Not at all.
Yeah. Wonderful. What do you got?
I'm not sure why I'm here.
You're a pretty face. That's the,
okay.
yeah.
I will say I know that I would not have gotten as far as I have over these last few years if it wasn't for Luke, because he absolutely has believed in me more than I ever thought a person could believe in another person. And he's helped me to shift the way I see myself. And he's helped me to become far more excited about my business and about helping kids than ever. And he's also saved me from myself and helped me to stand up for myself when I need to.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, and often too, we have our specialization, our thing that we're good at. And then we have running a business, and they're not the same thing. No. And just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're good at the other thing. Yeah, it's really quite fascinating.
Yeah.
On that front as well. So
and
good on you for jumping into that responsibility, for really, trying to make it your own thing. And I'm glad you had a lot of referrals. That helps a lot.
Yes, it is. It's really huge. It helps a lot. And I think it was just this year. I don't think it was only this year. Now I have a team of people who work under me. And so now I don't have to turn students away. I can say, hey, I have a team member who would love to work with your kid. So therefore I am not feeling pressured or guilty to like turn kids away, and I'm not spreading myself too thin. And then I can still, by extension, help these kids. And because these tutors who are under me, they're trained. And then I am able then to share my Miss Rebecca exclusives with them and tell them these little tricks and stuff like that. And these kids can still get help. And it's so like frightfully exciting and terrifying and nauseating all at once. So it's been great. But he's been the one who's like, no, we should do this. Don't give up. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. But he's been helping me.
Well, there's
screaming.
Yeah, there's a clear need for what you're doing. And there's a need for people who will customize and be very specific around how do I help address this child's needs? Yeah. Right? Because the schools don't have the resources. They're really looking for like, well, we have our uniform thing. And then I guess we have a uniform thing for people that the uniform thing doesn't fit for. Right. Right. And some schools don't even have that second layer. No. Right. And so when you're dealing with the hard cases, I mean, taking a particularly hard case for your practicum is wild work. Good on you. That's. It was, I mean, it just kept, we just had to pray. Yeah. And even though like he was very severe and he was below what they said that I should do, because you have to finish within a certain time frame. And if you don't, then you're not certified. Then you have to start over. And so really it was like every evaluation, every word list reading that he did everything was just so critical. But then I got to see God show up in such specific ways to see like, oh my gosh, like he was reading at this many words per minute here. And now look how fast he's reading now. Like we got to see all of these exciting things and we got to celebrate all of this. And I do not know how people can survive a practicum training like that without Jesus. Like I don't, because like he longs to show up and to be glorified through his people and especially through these kids. And I think it was just so sweet to see how God was just like confirming all of this for me. Like as seeing how well he did, just to see every single improvement, and his mom would cry and I would cry and we would just be so excited and everything. And he just literally sent me a video yesterday. He's helping his niece with her reading. And so she's getting stuck on words and he's like helping her sound it out. And it was so sweet. That's fun. I like wanted to die. He sent that to me yesterday. It made me so happy. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. It's truly magical, and just my kids both, read fine, but my youngest is getting to the point where he can sit down and read books on his own. And sometimes it is emotional to go, oh man, he's really unlocking the world here. Yeah. Right. He's able to access ideas that he would have no reason to be able to find. He doesn't need somebody else to do it for him. Yeah. He can do it on his own. Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. So, yeah. And, reading was not as important 100 years ago, 200 years ago. I mean, it was important for sure. It was
not as commonplace. It was maybe more important in some ways because the people who drove society were the people who could read.
Yeah, right. Right. But also as a baseline expectation, you could function in society without being able to read 100, 200, 300 years ago. Yeah. Whereas the baseline, you talk about what is this job application asking of me? Yeah. What is this mortgage asking of me? What is this car loan asking of me? If you can't read, and those are not easy documents. Right. Right. If you can't generally understand what those documents are asking and sign them, that really limits the way you can behave in the world. You have to have somebody else with you all the time.
Things weren't that complex back then.
Correct.
Yeah.
They didn't write.
It was handshake.
30-page documents. The laws weren't 1,000 pages long.
Yeah. 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 So folks that had a disadvantage on the reading front, they could still fully function in society. Right. They might not be ruling. They might not be academics, but they would be able to do jobs. Yeah. And I don't know. I see some of the results on, how well people are reading coming out of certain grades, and it's alarming. Yes. And it's not necessarily something that we should be surprised by. Yeah. But it is alarming because of our expectations for how people interact in society are high. And then the outcomes coming out of school are not matching that.
100%. And there's a lot of statistics. So students, if they struggle with reading, they're so much more likely to drop out of school completely.
Yep.
They're so much more likely to lead lives of crime. There's a huge percentage of people who are incarcerated who just can't read. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean just because they can't read that, that would have kept them from making bad choices? Maybe, maybe not, but it's a crisis situation here. Like, kids need to be able to read. And some of it is poor education. Some of it too, I feel bad to say it, but some of it too is these students just genuinely not caring and not wanting to put forth any effort into reading. And so I've encountered so many parents when they come to me and they're just like, I feel so bad. Like, I should have gotten him checked out sooner, or, I'm not a good parent because I didn't read to them enough. I'm like, you are coming here to get help for your child. Mm-hmm. You are a very good parent. Mm-hmm. You are coming here and making them sit down and do this. You are a very good parent. We just do what we can. Don't shame yourself for the past. Just keep moving forward and get them the help that they need. Because the parents who are bad parents are the parents who just don't care mm-hmm. if their kids can read or not read. Mm-hmm. And so I always try to encourage parents, don't shame yourself. Don't wait anymore, but don't shame yourself. Because it's already hard for the kids. And that's why I try to be as encouraging and positive and bubbly as I possibly can, because reading is not as fun for everyone as it is for me. And the kids don't really care about closed syllables and open syllables as much as I do. They don't get as excited about it as I do. And that's okay. But they need a teacher who's really excited about it. If they're going to even care a little bit, they got to have someone who's overly excited about it.
What's that saying? It's like the best day to start was yesterday and the second best day is today.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe they should have done it sooner, but they're doing it now. And a lot of people never do it at all. So
yeah. Well, and there's a lot of, let's just say there's a lot of stress from many, many different sources going on that's causing it to be difficult to show up for your family the way that people want to.
Yeah.
And so, or even, don't even know that they want to. So that's tough.
Yeah.
For sure. That's tough. So I don't necessarily, I see sometimes parents not living up to taking care of their kids and looking out for their kids' interests as much as they should. Mm-hmm. And then I recognize, there's all of these other factors going on in their life. And they're under the weight of those, and that stress is burying them. It's difficult.
Yeah.
And saying, okay, well, what exactly is the right answer? It's not so clear cut.
No, it's not. And it's really overwhelming. When a parent starts to kind of dive into just the world of dyslexia, when you don't love it, it's so overwhelming. And when you have this emotion behind you, my kid is behind and you're scared, it's so hard, right? To see the forest for the trees. There's so much information and there's so many different ways. Wilson is my preferred program to use with students, but it's not the only one. So it's okay, well, which one do I use and what do I do? And I heard about this and I heard about that. And then they got this, this huge, 6-day testing done with the, educational evaluation. And they are seeing all of these results and parents are just so overwhelmed. And it just breaks my heart when I see other companies and centers and programs preying on them and exploiting their emotions, pulling at their heartstrings and all of this stuff. Because not every dyslexia tutor is pure-hearted, not every single one wants to just help the kid for the sake of helping the kid. Some want to just make money. And that's why I think it's so critical that parents do their own research and the most important thing is to have clear communication with your tutor to know exactly what they're doing inside a lesson. Because if they cannot explain to you what they are doing and why they're doing it, either they're not trained or they are trying to rob you blind. And I cannot believe that someone would go in this realm and try and do that. It just makes me so upset. Yes. So yeah, I've seen people, I've seen websites of different people who do this. And then I'm like, what are you actually doing? What is the program? I'm trying to find it. There's no research. There's nothing. They just say you want to be a good parent and help your kid, right? I know you do. Call me and it's only $6,000 and I'll cure your child's dyslexia. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah. FYI, dyslexia is something that is treatable, but it's not curable. It doesn't go away. It can be so remediated to the point where a student or a person can just read totally fine and you never would know that they had it. But in the same way, like a broken bone can heal, but that break always did happen. You know, it can heal and you're strong again, but you can't ever unbreak that bone. So you can never, if someone says that they can cure your child's dyslexia, you need to run the other direction, right? And just don't tell me who they are, because I might come and hunt them down. I might come after them because I get so upset.
Yeah. Well, and that comes down to what are the business's metrics and how do you measure success? And if you don't measure success by the success of the children, if you're measuring success by number of appointments, number of sales, whatever the metrics are that drive the business, you can end up in that kind of weird incentive system where people don't do they don't do the most effective thing because they're not incentivized to do the most effective thing.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I guess, I don't know, in this, I know that I'm a feelings-driven person.
You're passionate about this.
I'm very passionate about it.
And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I recognize how easily somebody with good intentions can fall into a system with the wrong incentives.
Yeah.
And those good intentions get eroded.
Yeah.
This happens in lots of jobs, but lots of jobs with large bureaucracy, right? So, I don't know. I was having a conversation with my sisters over the 4th about teachers, right? And one of them, I guess I want to be careful what I say, but one of them has a very optimistic view, and maybe hasn't seen how crushing a system can be on somebody's passion and excitement for teaching kids.
Yeah.
That you can have a system that just makes you not want to engage with that anymore.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of punch in and punch out.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Anyway.
I was going to ask about some of the challenges in diagnosing dyslexia and why some students might go undiagnosed, because you've talked to me in the past about especially really high intelligence students can sometimes create their own coping mechanisms and keep up with their peers, for instance, and never get the help that they need to really thrive, but they can tread water and keep, like, they kind of don't fall through the cracks enough to get noticed.
Yeah. So for some kids, especially those highly intelligent kids, so if they're really highly intelligent and their reading problems are more mild, it's really easy for them to slip through the cracks and to just not get noticed, because they could be performing in school below their potential but not failing.
Right.
So you could have a kid who has the potential to be an A honor roll student, but they're a C student or maybe C, D student. They might be passing classes, but they are not at all living up to the potential where they could be. So dyslexia is defined as an unexpected struggle in reading within a student who has the ability to be a better reader than they are. And unexpected is the key term. And so that's why you see parents and they'll say, well, he can't have dyslexia, he's so smart. Well, yeah, dyslexic students are smart. And a lot of people say, yeah, he can't have dyslexia, he can read. Dyslexic students can read. That's the thing. They just cannot read well, and they cannot pull the meaning off of a page. They can't remember the things that they've read, but it doesn't mean they're completely illiterate. Dyslexia and being illiterate are not the exact same thing, right? They can struggle with it, right? But it doesn't mean that they can't read anything at all. And that's why spelling, believe it or not, spelling is one of the clearest ways to determine dyslexia. It's not the only way, right? But it's one of the clearest, best signs if a kid has dyslexia.
One of the best red flags for is spelling. They're excelling maybe they're even excelling in English.
Yep.
But their spelling is very poor.
Or they write, their written vocabulary is so much farther below their oral vocabulary. So they can have really high intelligent conversations. They have this really strong maturity level. They're holding these conversations, a lot of interest in certain things. When you ask them to write something, they're very simplistic sentences, and that's because they're spelling words that they can spell.
Yeah.
They're writing words that they can spell, and they're just writing what they're confident they can get correct. And they won't challenge themselves beyond that. And that's a really, really huge sign. But dyslexia is officially diagnosed by a licensed educational psychologist or someone with a medical degree of some kind. So even though I would love to be able to officially diagnose it, I'm not there yet. And I don't know if I ever will, because I'd have to go back and get my master's at least, I think.
I thought it was
maybe I have to get a doctorate.
Medical doctors. something.
It's like a lot.
It's a serious thing to be formally diagnosed. It's the same as like.
Yeah, that gets into kind of
prescriptions.
Yeah.
That kind of gets into the next question I was going to ask, because with your specialty, do you only work with kids that are already diagnosed? Do you have parents that reach out to you and you tell them, oh, you need to get a diagnosis before you can come? Is there some sort of financial assistance for people who do get a diagnosis versus don't get a diagnosis? What does that look like?
So I will work with any kid who has a reading problem. And I will work with them in any different ways. So some kids are more mild and I'll say like, hey, I think that here are some spelling lists. I think you need to work with this kid. Do some spelling drills, do this or that, just to kind of bump that up. Here are some, like, start with these kind of books and bump your way up. So I'll work with even something as basic as that to something more intense. So for a student to start working with me, they do not need to be officially diagnosed. Honestly, most of the time what I see parents come to me for is they're just like, I just need to know if something is going on with my kid. Mm-hmm. And which is a huge privilege for me because that just shows that they trust me so much and they just want help and guidance. And so I do take that really, really seriously. But I always tell parents, I can't officially diagnose anything, right? I'm not an educational psychologist, but I compare myself to a nurse practitioner, right? Okay. So I'm not the official doctor, right? Or whatever, but it's almost like as parents, like, I may not be a doctor, but I know when my kid has a cold and I know what to do to fix it, right? Like moms, we have really great instincts and I feel like my instincts are very, very strong when it comes to kids who struggle with reading. And so it's the same thing. Like, so I can't officially diagnose a student and I'm very, transparent about that. But I'll say, listen, like it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. I've been doing this for almost 10 years. I cannot see your child there's no other option that this is what is going on. And sometimes they'll say, okay, great. Well, what do I do now? And I said, well, it's, I'll tell them you can go and get that educational evaluation because it will reveal more than just reading struggles. So they will talk about the IQ, they'll do math, they'll do all sorts of this huge comprehensive exam. So it's really educational and it's really beneficial. But it's not required to just start helping them with their reading, right? Absolutely. Same way I don't have to get a doctor's note to know that I need to give my kid Tylenol. I know what my kid needs, so I'll just give him Tylenol. So honestly, a lot of kids come to me just like that, and they'll just say like, very few have said, okay, I'll go get an educational evaluation. Sure. Very few. I think I've had like in 10 years, like maybe 5 kids who have worked with me or talked with me and then said, okay, I don't really believe what you're saying. I'm going to go get an educational evaluation, which is totally fine. There's no skin off my back.
Any of them come back to you?
Yeah, a lot of them have come back to me. There's been 1 or 2, I think, who's come and I just didn't have space in my schedule. But they have. And some parents, they see and some parents just want to know. They really want to know what's going on. And I think that that's super important, but it's not a requirement. So, and I think that kind of makes them rest a little bit easier and just say, hey, like we don't have to wait, just start working, So some kids, honestly, I work with a lot of really high energy kids who there's one boy in particular who I am not totally sure, honestly, this is new for me. I'm not totally sure if he actually has dyslexia or if his attention deficit is so strong that his brain is not processing what I'm trying to teach him, but he's still learning and benefiting from it because everything is so structured. So he knows what to expect. He knows what we have to do. And he is learning to read, but he is one where sometimes I'm like, I don't know. Well, I'm not totally sure what's going on in your brain, but there's no doubt that doing Wilson is absolutely what's helping him and everything like that. So yeah. They don't need to have an educational diagnosis through a psychologist to work with me. And there's no, at least for me in my business, doesn't matter to me if they have it or not. But I worked really, really hard several years ago, and I am a scholarship provider through the state of Florida. Got it. And so parents who come to me, if they have a child who also has this same scholarship, then they can just pay me through the scholarship directly. And I had to work so hard. I had to go back to college and take a few more college classes in order for all of that to be eligible. And it was really worth the effort because I don't want money to be a reason why kids can't read. but I also have to like pay my bills, because this is my full-time job. So I have to be able to pay the bills, and I have to be able to like feed my children and the dog and stuff like that. So I can't do it for free, but my heart would really love to do it for free, because I don't believe that reading is for the privileged. It's for everyone. It really should be.
Absolutely.
But I can't do it for free just yet.
And then the majority of your business is with individuals. Do you also have some contracts with schools or other organizations?
Yes, and that's a huge blessing too. So I had 2 different schools that I was working with. Now I'm working with. No, I am working with 2 schools. I was working with 3. Now I'm working with 2. So I teach online virtually at a dyslexia school in Philadelphia, which is so exciting.
That's cool.
And so I lead a group, a Wilson group online. And then this coming year, at the same school where where our daughters attend, I'll be leading 2 different groups of 2 Wilson groups at school this year in the fall. And I'm really excited about that, because I just have some of these kids are just older and they need to be at a different level, and my littles need to be at a different level. So it just kind of helps to separate them and stuff like that. And then I teach groups. And even though I have a group of kids, everything is still very individualized. So every kid gets a specific word. So I'm still handpicking, and I have, I'm very type A. So I have everything like color coordinated. So it's like this kid is pink, and this kid is green, and this kid is dark green. And I have them all like highlighted and colored and labeled out. So every kid is still getting really individualized attention, even though we're in a group. And so I love my groups too. They're really fun. We do more songs in the groups, because sometimes when it's just one-on-one, singing is a little bit awkward. Yeah. So I don't do singing with my one-on-ones. I have more one-on-ones than I have groups, but so we do more songs and stuff in the groups. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, good. So you mentioned having a team. Mm-hmm. How many people, how many different teachers do you have working with you so far?
4 right now. 4, and which is just huge. I can't believe it. God has just been so good and so faithful, and I'm so grateful. They're all just, not only are they friends of mine, but they're all Christian women, and we get to I wanted to have a team that I could be a strong leader for, but just say, hey, how can we be praying for these kids this week? Yeah. Just to kind of remember that the Holy Spirit is in the driver's seat. I like to say that I run a spirit-led but data-informed business, and in that order specifically, because we have to be informed by data, but we have to be run and led by the Spirit. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. And God is just, I feel like a lot of it just kind of fell in my lap. I was kind of saying okay, I think I want to do this. And then I had a friend reached out who is a teacher. She actually got the high school English teacher job. Literally a week, I applied for it at the school. And they're like, oh, we just filled it. It was her, but that's fine. No hard feelings. She's fantastic, but she's like, I really want to challenge myself with something new. And you seem to love your job. How can I do this? And I'm like, well, this would be a huge blessing, because I don't have to turn kids away and everything. It's just been fantastic. And, people have been talking and seeing how that's going, and other teachers have expressed interest, and it's just been fantastic. So so I have 4 right now.
Cool.
Who knows how many more we'll get. Now I'm at the point now where
getting up and running to some degree.
Yeah, still getting up and running a little bit.
You have 2 with students right now, or
I have 2 who are currently with students. One has my newest one. She has a student who's starting in August. And then the 4th one is she's about halfway through her training. She has a month to complete it, and she has been working on it for 4 days, and she's halfway done. Yeah. So I'm so excited for her. And she already has a student. I already have a student lined up for her. So God has been so good. But I would like to at least have everyone have 2 students. So I need 2 more for my 2 newest team members, but God will provide.
What's a full-time workload for something like that?
It depends.
Yeah.
He's laughing. Do you have a comment?
She works a lot more than a full-time workload. So it's good to be having some people under her. She can actually spread some of the wealth around. As far as
exactly
the wealth of students, maybe not the wealth of the money.
Well, I guess I'm just curious, there's lots of jobs you'll talk about, how large is your client base in order to be able to operate. So, a dentist has a certain number of customers that they can effectively handle on a on a per year basis.
Yeah.
And it depends how many staff they have under them, but they have lots of ways to make those decisions. A psychiatrist, same thing. They have a certain number of appointments. They're blocked by time.
Right.
They only have so much time. If all of their appointments are one-on-one, how many one-on-one appointments are they creating per week?
Right.
Are they making, is 20 a full workload for them? Is 35 a full workload for them? 35 is bananas in the psychology space, I got to imagine.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a lot of time to do administrative stuff, take notes, meet with a team if you have a team, all of the other pieces.
That's something she's going to have to make more room for as our team grows too, is to make space for managing the team, overseeing stuff.
Office hours.
Possibly recruiting students at some point. We'll see, I guess. But
time blocking so you can work on the business versus working in the business.
I know. It's like all of that, like super adult stuff that I have to like figure out. But
limitations on your abilities and energy levels. Very, very annoying things like that.
But I told him this story. I was listening to a tutor podcast, right? So it was like this like tutoring summit. And there was this woman talking how she ran a business, right? She was in math tutoring, and she had, there was 4 other people underneath her. So it's 5 tutors running this business total. And she was saying that all of them combined have 35 hours of work a week all together. And so when I divide that out, so 5 by 35, so it's like each person has 7 hours of work per week. I work at least 7 hours per day.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh my gosh. So really, I don't know. For me, I think.
Well, that's 7 hours with students.
Yes, with students.
Through the 5 days of the work week.
Yeah.
That's not counting administrative time. That's not counting management.
Lesson planning.
Not counting lesson planning.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like kind of like college where you have an hour of class, an hour of homework kind of idea. Like it takes.
It was 1-to-1 for you? It was.
I don't know. My point is that there's a ratio built in.
Yes, there's a ratio.
There's a ratio. There's an expectation that she's also like the pay you're receiving for that hour of tutoring is also supposed to cover the hour or 2 that you're prepping.
Exactly.
Class.
Right.
And that's something that we're still figuring out for time management.
Yeah.
Like,
cool.
You say like, what does it look like full time? In some ways, I think we're still feeling that out.
Yeah, I feel like it.
Because you were feeling very overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Here this spring. And I think getting more people under her is helping with that.
Yes.
Getting a break helps with that because it's something that kind of just goes year round.
Yeah.
Which
is a blessing. You know, it's stressful and we all need breaks and stuff like that. But like a typical teacher, it depends on how their school runs it, but they might take a smaller paycheck throughout the school year so they keep getting paychecks during the summer, or they don't get paychecks at all during the summer. And I do not have to worry about that at all because a majority of my students want to just keep working. And a lot of them need to keep working during the summer because the summer slide with reading is very, very real. And so, that's a huge blessing. But I don't even know if I know. Like part-time, I would say like some of these tutors, I want to get them at least 2 to 3 students each because they are all doing this part-time, right? And so I want to make sure they have at least 2 to 3 students each. And the goal is for each student to be working 2 full hours a week. That's the goal. So if I could have tutors who have that, I think that's worth their time and investment that it took to do the training and everything. But for me, like I have between 7 and 9 sessions 5 days a week. And
not to tattle on her, but 3 months ago, she told me she wanted to quit this and become a bag girl at Publix. So
all in jest.
I would say that the number that she has been doing is not a sustainable number.
No, I don't think
we need
so.
to find that space.
Not for a parent.
Not if you want to build your business.
Not if you want to build your, and not for a parent who is also homeschooling part-time. So like the girls go to a hybrid school. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are homeschool days. And so there's that element too.
Not even counting the hours you're tutoring them essentially.
Essentially.
More tutoring time.
And then also
which I do try to help with, but they're used to mom. Mom is a teacher, so she's a little more naturally gifted in that.
Yeah.
The girls don't want my help. I try to take as much off her plate as I can.
No, but you do an
There's
amazing
only so
job.
much I can do.
Yeah. No, but he does an amazing job. And that means like, but then there's also life, like the cooking and the cleaning and walking the dog and doing all of that stuff. It's just, like at different points during the spring, I was just like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this anymore. I'm just going to quit and go work at Publix and just bag groceries. And
she goes and joins a crabbing boat up in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. No, I would die. It's too cold up there. Are you kidding? But no, it's just a sign that I needed a break, and I've had a break. And now I am so grateful for the ability to have a team, because it enables me to not feel so burdened and heavy and overwhelmed while still helping students, because I just know in my heart, like without a doubt, that this is absolutely why the Lord has me on this earth in this time, in this place, is to help students become victorious readers. And I can't do that if I'm spread too thin, right? And so the Lord is providing a way for me to not be spread too thin. And so I'm super grateful for that. And then it's a benefit for these women, because the clients are coming. Like,
yeah.
I mean, what a huge blessing. Like I was hustling from ground zero, like this whole time, right? So now I have a business that has like its name out there a little bit, and people are coming to find me, which is super huge. And these women now, they have these clients come, they're not having to hustle and look for these things. And they also don't have to worry about like the LLC stuff and the S Corp stuff and the taxes and all of that like red tape stuff that is super overwhelming. And for some people, just not at all interesting. I really find it interesting and I like it, but not everyone does. Not everyone wants to run a business. Some teachers just want to be teachers and not business owners. But I really love being both. It's really fun.
Most teachers.
Yeah. I guess you're probably right.
I think a huge percentage of people just don't want to go through all of the headaches of owning a business and then figuring out how do I pay myself, and taxes were way more than I thought. And that kind of stuff just keeps a lot of people away from it.
Yeah.
And so giving them the ability to really focus on what they're excited about and passionate about. And as they get results that you are excited about too, you can expand your impact. It's really great.
Well, that's the bottom line. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
It's a very understandable appeal to be, I go to work. Someone tells me what I need to do. Someone tells me when I need to be there. I don't have to make those decisions myself. I don't have to risk anything as far as capital. I just show up and do what they tell me to do. And if I do a good job, maybe they'll give me more money.
Yep.
And I can then go home and spend my energy on things that I care about, like my family, buying boats, buying nice cars, whatever. Like I get the appeal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like for some people, they don't want that challenge at work. They want to just do the thing, put their head down, get through the day, and then have the money. They work to live. That's to say, like, I do this work so I can do the things I want to do.
Yeah.
And then it makes sense, like for a lot of people.
And that's fine. Some people are really gifted in doing certain things like that, like being a doctor or,
Even most doctors, that's the way they live, essentially. Like they're not private practice and like running their own thing.
Yeah. You can have a very fulfilling life and not be a small business owner. And I never thought that I would, I always wanted to own my own business, even from when I was little, but I never thought that I would actually be able to do it. And the fact that I can is just so huge. And it's just such a testament to how far God has brought me, all that he's brought me through. The fact that I can do this and stand on my own 2 feet and do all of this, and then be married to a man who encourages me and who cheers for me and supports me and encourages me to dream bigger and gets excited. It's just so huge. And I know the business is going to keep growing exponentially as a result of, us working together and being a team. And it's really, really exciting.
Yeah. It's
good. To be fair, the business you wanted to run when you were a child was probably a lawyer, teacher, stand-up comedian.
Yes.
Business.
Bagger at Publix.
There you go. Only on the days I'm really tired do I want to be a bagger at Publix.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I was little, that is what I wanted to be, was a comedian. All of the girls who were saying I want to be a ballerina. No, I was I want to be a comedian. I wanted to be a stand-up comedian just like Lucille Ball.
Oh, okay.
So that was my first job that I ever wanted. So
cool.
Tell us a joke.
Oh, the worst question.
Oh my gosh.
The worst question.
Do it.
No.
Good one.
Tell us a joke is topped only by, when did you last stop beating your husband?
Oh my goodness.
Wait, the premise is baked in. Anyway. Yeah. What?
I just love those questions.
Yeah.
It's
The questions.
When did you realize you were stupid?
Yes.
Oh my heavens.
All right. Well, hey, it's been great.
Yes.
I guess we could close out. So, the Literacy Ladder, where can people find you?
So, yeah, the website is thelitladder.com. And I do have a Facebook page. I should probably get an Instagram at some point. But yeah, thelitladder.com. Just reach out if you have any questions or want to learn more or anything like that.
You want to share like your email?
Oh, yes. Well, I got a new email. It's Rebecca@thelitladder.com is my email. And Luke is Luke@thelitladder.com if you want to email him. And yeah.
That's where hate mail goes, right?
Yes.
No.
If you have any
Yes, if you have a
complaints,
complaint,
you can send them to Luke
send them
at
to
thelitladder.com.
If you have anything nice to say, you can send it to me.
Yep. Exactly.
But yeah, it's been fun. Thank you for like sitting down and letting me like share my heart about why I love doing what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah.
This is Becoming Our Age. We focus on learning, laughs, relationships, and responsibility. Rebecca's really jumped into responsibility and taking care of kids and bringing them up in the way they should go, making sure they have the tools to read and engage with the world. It's a pretty cool thing. Cheers.